Hello, my name is David Manell, and I'm Director of Product Development here at Accountants World. And I'm going to give a brief video on bank feeds, a quick overview of how you use it in Accounting Power and what it can do for you in your practice. First, I just want to quickly go over what bank feeds are. Bank feeds are basically the ability to bring in transactions directly from a bank multiple times without having to go in and log in each time or getting your client to log in and get the information for you. And also, instead of having to enter the transactions manually. So this brings up, what are the advantages? Of course, the advantages are pretty straightforward, easy to see, but I'm going to go over them again. Dramatically reduce data entry time. If you've ever done write-up work, if you have to enter 150 transactions, no matter how fast you are, and some people are very fast, it can never be as fast as just bringing in the transactions directly from the bank. Also, no matter how good you are at entering data, and some people are much better than others. I've done a lot of write-up work, and when on occasion, something would be done incorrectly, and when that's done, it takes a long time sometimes to track down, where instead of writing $10.32, maybe I wrote $1,032. So it can take a long time to try to track down the errors. This will dramatically reduce the errors. It also reduces errors as far as coding the transactions, because that's done automatically when they're brought in. It saves time and aggravation getting data from your clients. Some clients are very good getting stuff to you, whereas other clients, it's almost like pulling teeth. You're lucky if they bring you the stuff at the end of the year. So this can save you that time and aggravation. It makes it very easy to give real-time advice to clients, as opposed to the way in the past traditional write-up was, maybe quarterly, and many cases even just yearly write-up work would be done for clients when it was time to do the tax returns. As an accountant, you can at the end of the year look at the information, give your clients advice. You're spending too much on this, or you're not doing that, but that's really way after the fact. When it's easy to get the data in with very little time spent on your part and no aggravation getting the data from your clients, you can bring it in all the time and be up to date and give real-time advice to clients, which is much more valuable than just entering data for your clients. It can also speed up bank reconciliations. And finally, because you can do it during the year, it also can really cut down on that tax season crunch time, when you're doing so many other things rather than having to do a big write-up a whole year for a client. So in order to use bank feeds, client needs to be registered. The client's bank information has to be entered. Going to company, bank add-ons takes you or your client to the screen to enter the information. When you're here directly, it'll take you right to the bank feed screen. Just briefly, I want to touch these other two features here too, digital checks and merchant account. Digital checks is a very powerful, inexpensive, and convenient way for you to offer a bill payment service for your clients, or for your clients to also pay their bills. The bills are paid electronically, an email goes out to their various vendors, and it's very easy for the vendor to then accept the payment. It's an inexpensive, it's $1 per check, which compared to printing checks, stuffing envelopes, buying stamps, and all the other things traditionally involved in paying bills, is a very efficient method to use. Merchant account, of course, is just the ability for you or your clients to accept credit card payments. So anyway, back to the bank feeds. After you come to this screen, click here to get started. It brings up a site which will list a whole bunch of banks which are supported for our bank feeds. Bank feeds, we partnered with a company called Yodlee in order to do this. This is about 20 banks that are listed here. They support thousands of banks for bank feeds. If the bank is not seen here, All it has done is the information has started to be entered. So I'm looking for Bank of America. So I type Bank of America, of course, with the type ahead it brings up. And as you can see, there's a lot of different accounts that are covered. Bank of American Fork. I would say I've never heard of that one. A little bit of a funny name, but anyway. So you go into the bank that you were looking for. It takes you right to a screen that's from the bank. The online ID and the password is entered here. Once that's entered, it takes you into a screen which will list the various bank accounts that are at that bank. And also that way you know once you get in there that the password information and ID were entered correctly. This information is then remembered, securely remembered, so that the next time when you want to actually do the bank feeds, you don't have to go back and re-enter any information. So anyway, once that's entered, the banks are then transferred back, and credit cards, the bank and credit card screens or accounts are then transferred back into Accounting Power. So the next step is to map the accounts. Now, as you can see, 2 of the accounts are mapped and 1 was not mapped. When 1 isn't mapped automatically, all that you do is go to that one. It'll bring up the various accounts. You select which one you want. In this case, it was the regular savings, and then it'll go there. So now what I want to point out here also is how we do the mapping. We do the mapping by comparing the last 4 digits in the actual bank account that was logged into to the 4 digits for banks that you have set up in Accounting Power. So as long as that is set up, there really is no mapping that you have to do as long as it's set up and correct. This was the other one I had brought in. As you can see here, it's 172, whereas in the system it was entered as 0173. I purposely entered it wrong so it wouldn't map. If that happens, this is also a quick little tip for you. Maybe it's entered incorrectly in the system. And if it is, it's very easy. You simply click on the link. It'll take you into the bank, and then you can correct the information. So that's how the mapping is done. The next step is how do you bring in the transactions? And you go to a screen which is banking, upload e-statements. You would come in and you would click on Yodlee. Once you do that, the various bank accounts will be listed here. These are the 2 accounts that I'd brought, bank for cash, bank for checking, and then you select which account you want to bring the information in for. Now, there were 3 accounts that I brought. One was a credit card account. Don't be misled by the fact that it's called bank feeds. It brings bank and credit card information. And if I had selected credit card, all that would show here in the list was the 1 credit card that I had through Bank of America. So anyway, you select which one you want. In this case, I selected the bank for cash checking. Enter the dates that you want to import. You can import daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever is best for you and that particular client, and for your various systems that you have in-house for doing this type of work. When you initially get started, depending upon the bank, you have the ability to go up to 1 year back. Not all banks offer that, the ability to get that information, but for most banks, you do have that ability. So in this case, I chose to import in transactions from June. I clicked on the button on the other screen that said bank feeds, and then it brought in the transactions. It would take, maybe 5-10 seconds or something like that to bring them in. And then it's going to give you a little bit of information here. First of all, there's 34 new transactions. There were no matches found with existing transactions. Since I'm doing it as a write-up example, that's what you would expect. You wouldn't expect it to match with something. You would expect it to be new information. If your clients are writing checks or doing something and you're doing it to match with what they've done, it will find the transactions and match to them. Now, we have a system in the program, a very powerful algorithm that'll match the vendor names that are coming across from the banks with the vendors that you have entered in Accounting Power as existing vendors. But of course, sometimes your clients will have new vendors. And when that happens, like in this case, we see there's 3 vendors that were not matched up: 7-Eleven, Home Depot, and Taco Bell. So all you do is come here, add a new vendor. A little screen will pop up. You enter the information for the vendor, the name, address, whatever information you want to be there, and then what the expense account is. So 7-Eleven, of course, is an employee benefit program. So now the next time when information is imported, if 7-Eleven is there or Home Depot or Taco Bell, after I'd set them up, they won't have to be matched. I mean, they won't have to be added because now they'll be in the system. As time goes on, it's easier and easier to do it because there's less and less new vendors on a statement. So anyway, after the information is updated, you simply click on View Transactions, and then it brings you into a screen where you can review and edit the transactions. All the transactions will be here. It'll show you how many came across: 30 disbursements, 4 receipts, cash receipts. You can look at each one. You see Indio Insurance Company coded as insurance general liability. You can verify what you need to verify there. If you happen to see one that needs to be changed, so in this case, Haas Cartwright was coded for collection, and maybe in this case it was a different account that needed to be coded for this particular expense. All you do is click on it, brings it over there, and then you enter it. One final thing to bring out is with bank feeds, we also have a very powerful screen for managing the bank feeds. And so this is the client notification screen. And from the client notification screen, you can see information about bank feeds and other items also. But in this case, you can see which clients are registered. So if you wanted to set up a bunch of clients for bank feeds, you would know which ones aren't set up yet. And you will be able to send an email out to the client with a link in order to for them to sign up, and that will be available in the system in about a week to 10 days, the email for the link. You also have the ability to see the last time transactions were imported. So this is a very powerful feature for somebody who's managing the practice. It's very easy to come in here and on one screen see exactly where you stand with all the clients as far as bank feeds and transaction import. Anyway, that's really all I wanted to show today. Once again, my name is David Manell, and if you have any questions or any comments, you can email me at dmunnell@accountantsworld.com. Thank you very much, and I appreciate the time you gave me today.